Hey, what's going on, everyone? Good Micro Commentaries back at you again. And what in the name of all sexy hell is going on here? We have got another Patreon-sponsored video for you this week. This one comes courtesy, again, of longtime supporter, listener, and follower, Barry MK. I've put the link to his Twitter handle on the overlay screen there, and I've got the link to his YouTube channel in the description below. And as a matter of fact, Barry has donated to have many reviews done throughout the years, and he has a playlist on his channel of all of the videos that I've done for him. So if you'd like to check that out and see a lot of wacky-ass reviews, including a Nickelodeon show from a year or two ago, go over on his channel, check it out. He's got the entire playlist for you there, and he's picked a doozy of a show to review for this episode. This is a show that I completely forgot about. Once he told me, I remembered it airing. I never owned the DVD of this, but I do know that they did release it. But this was kind of wiped from my memory until Barry brought it up and recommended that I do a review on it. And man, these were different times indeed. As I'm sure you can tell from the title and the thumbnail and everything that you're looking at here, we're going to be talking about WWE Divas Undressed that aired on June 29th, 2002, which I believe aired on the MTV network. Correct me if I'm wrong, might have been USA, but I'm pretty sure this was back when they were doing a lot of stuff with MTV. They held this event at The World, which was formerly WWF New York, but had to change the name when WWE made the switch over to WWE just about a month before this. I believe it was in May of the same year, the previous month, where they made the switch from WWF to WWE. So things were changing and things were a lot different. And WWE, since the WCW buyout and purchase, had acquired a lot of the WCW female talent as well, like the Stacey Keeblers and the Tori Wilsons, really adding a lot to their diva division. And back, of course, as we know, in these days, the only thing these women were really used for were sex objects. They were out there every single week in lingerie pillow fights, in bikini contests. I saw a few of these bikini contests live because I would go to shows a lot during this time period of around 98 through 2003. And I saw this shit all the time. It's all they used the women for. They were constantly objectified and drooled over by the male audience and the male wrestlers that were in the company as well. It was really, it's almost bizarre to go back and watch stuff from this time period now. You know, as you know, especially where we are in society and everything, and the treatment of these women. Now, the women were treated very well in terms of pay and all of that. But I mean, every single time, if you're Tori Wilson or Stacey Keebler, you show up to work, you're going to be told to put on a bra and panties and go out in front of 15,000 people every single time. So things were a lot different. And this was the culmination of all of it here. I think WWE realized that they got a shit ton of beautiful women on their roster around this time in 2003. Hell, Sable was even on her way back around this time. Or sorry, 2002. I think the following year is when Sable reappeared. So they literally had, you know, just an enormous slew of some of the best and hottest women that were in wrestling all together around that time, all under one umbrella. And here they decided to put on a show that was basically going to be kind of like a fashion show, you know, but done in a very sexual, salacious way. And when I was listening to this, I could not believe some of the things that were coming out of the mouth of Jerry Lawler. Now, we know Jerry Lawler's a fucking pervert. He's always been that way. It's even been his shtick. It's been part of his gimmick, but it also is who he is in real life. I mean, he's been known to date women half his age or more. He's always had a revolving door of women and girlfriends, and most of them are very young, and he does not hide this fact. On TV, he would always say things in the Attitude Era, going nuts over the puppies. He was very animated, and a lot of times, it was very entertaining. Other times it came off as creepy and gross, and that's what he is pretty much during this entire show. I found none of what Lawler was doing funny here. I can tolerate some of his shit on Raw and pay-per-views and stuff like that because he was so over the top, you know, but this was a whole different level of just disgusting to me. So I don't know how kind I'm going to be to this show in terms of what they did and how it was basically just 45 minutes of nothing. And I'm sorry, Barry, I'm going to do my best to give you a full, thorough review here, but there is not a lot of substance to this. This is women parading out there in bras and panties, and that's it. And a couple of other things. So I don't know, I can't really elaborate and go into detail on a lot of this stuff because there's really nothing to discuss. There's no wrestling angles, there's no matches, there's no history, there's no nothing going on here. But I've made a fair amount of notes to where we're going to try to treat this as serious as possible. And just, could you imagine them doing something like this today? I'm sure a lot of the fans wouldn't mind, you know, especially the male audience. But could you imagine treating, you know, Becky Lynch and Asuka and so many of these great women wrestlers that they have on the roster, the way they did the Divas back then, back in 2002, all the way up until, the Give Divas a Chance shit started. And WWE finally realized that, holy shit, women can wrestle too. Go figure. So these were different times. These were weird times. I'm going to do my best to make this a lighthearted review because I know it's could be somewhat controversial for all you woke people out there. Don't give me any shit. This is a donated review, one that I'm more than happy to do, and it's a show that WWE put on themselves. They are the ones that are treating these women like sex objects, not us. All we're doing is reviewing the show here, and we're going to try to do it as entertaining as possible. But Barry, once again, I want to thank you for the donation and the sponsorship here. You never cease to amaze with some of your choices. Barry has picked some really interesting and just flat out random shows throughout the year. So please go over to his channel, check out his playlist, and you can see all the crazy shit that I've done in Barry's name before. But thank you very much, Barry, for all of your support. You're the man. Like I said, WWE Divas Undressed went down on June 29th, 2002 from The World in Times Square in New York City. Like I said, this, I believe, was aired on MTV, and they did release a DVD of this. I thought about maybe purchasing the DVD just to show on camera here and just have it in the background. But they must have only done like a couple of prints because it's rather expensive. I saw one that went for like $100 that was sealed. Some other ones around 30 or whatever. Not really what I'm willing to spend on something like this that I'm never going to fucking watch. So I didn't bother really going out to look for it. But Barry did provide me with a very good Daily Motion link that was able to give me this entire show in full good HD quality and all of that. So I appreciate it. Like I said, this is basically just a fashion show for the WWE Divas around this time, and everybody was in it. Dawn Marie, Terry Reynolds, Linda Miles, Tori Wilson, Stacey Keebler, Trish Stratus, Nydia. There was a lot of women in the company, basically all of them around that time that were being used here. And they had all of the world set up with an audience, and they had 5 panel judges on this as well that were going to judge each and every one of these ladies. So the coach opens up the show. He's on the stage. He welcomes us all. It's almost like during this thing they were confused or they couldn't decide what they wanted to call it. It was either called Divas Undressed or it was called New York City Thongathon. It's like they liked both names so much they wanted to use them both, and they referred to the show as both of those names throughout. So it was a little bit silly. So we had the judges, like I said, they introduce us to the judges. There are 5 of them. We have Paul Heyman, which is interesting, Al Snow, Jazz, WWE female performer Jazz, Edge, and Maven. Maven, I forgot all about Maven, fucking tough enough guy. And I didn't even know this. I didn't even remember this, if this was storyline, kayfabe, or real deal, or what, but they kept referring to Maven as Tori Wilson's boyfriend through all of this. So if that was an angle on TV, I don't remember. Like, I really don't remember those two being paired on screen. It must have just been a short time deal, but they're making a big deal about that. We then kick it to Jerry Lawler and Michael Cole, who are going to serve as your announce team for this, as if you fucking need it. So this reminded me a lot of like the Slammy Awards in 96 and 97, where Lawler and Vince would do commentary. Even though it's an award show, like, you don't really need to do that. They didn't do it in the 80s, but this kind of reminded me of that here. And of course, you got to have Lawler there because he's a complete goddamn maniac when it comes to these women, and he absolutely shits his pants at the sight of them. And he was going to make, I think WWE thought, for some really interesting and entertaining comedy. But I think he just took things a little bit too far on his commentary. He was just a little bit too animated. We get it, Lawler. You're a perv. We know. You don't have to hammer that into our fucking heads. And it gets worse, by the way, because wait until you hear what I'm about to tell you. So first of all, Lawler and Cole announced that there's going to be 3 separate competitions on this show. There's going to be a teddy competition, a bra and panties competition, and the final one is something that's called a fantasy free-for-all, which I guess means they can come out there and do whatever they want. According to King and Cole, they can come out and show off their maybe hidden talents or whatever they have to do to impress the judges enough to sway them to win the trophy here. By the way, the winner of this whole ridiculous nonsense gets a golden thong award. So it's basically just a little trophy with a golden ass and a thong on it. That's it. That's what you win. So I can see why these girls are working so hard for this. But then it gets even crazy. Lawler's got a pair of binoculars with him. He's right there near the stage, but he feels like he needs binoculars anyway. And then Mr. Jerry goes on to announce and number one, brag and admit that he snuck into the women's locker room prior to the event and he stashed a hidden camera. He even showed footage of him going into the locker room and stashing this hidden camera. He's very excited to tell Michael Cole this. He's very excited to tell the audience this. I'm not sure if he'd be so excited to tell the police this. And he actually shows himself going in there, planting a camera so he can watch, as he says, I quote, watch the women get naked. Naked women, naked divas. Exclamation point, exclamation point. Jerry Lawler is very excited about the felony that he has just committed in the women's locker room. That cracked me the fuck up. I know he's in character. I'm not fucking dumb. But Jesus, man, planting a camera on purpose. You can watch divas get naked. What are you, 5? What the fuck? So anyway, Lawler brags about, his transgressions and all of the shitty things he did prior to the show. And he is here primarily just to drool all over himself, and Michael Cole is just going to have to do all the work here. So the first competition up is the Teddy competition, kind of like the lingerie competition. We've got the wonderful and nearly perfect Stacey Keebler coming out first. She's out there in some sort of a white furry teddy, and all they do is they walk to the end of the runway. It's basically just a long standard model runway, and all of the 5 judges are around the front. Basically what you'd see at a strip club, like where the pole is. Around that little that round part is where Edge and Heyman and all the judges are. So the ladies just walk out there, they do a little twirl, and they walk back. They don't do a whole lot. They don't cut any promos. They don't stand out there for a long time. I think they're out there about 10 to 15 seconds each. That's it. So Stacey Keebler comes out first. Linda Miles comes out next. She's kind of dressed all in black, and seeing her again, I've mentioned her before in previous live streams. I was always super impressed with her. The only thing I don't remember is really what her deal was. Physically, you think about AEW now, you got that Jade Cargill. She's probably even a little bit bigger than Linda, but Linda was just a specimen, something to behold. I mean, she was in really good shape. She had a great look, her physique, her build, everything was tremendous. I have no idea why she didn't make it. She just seems like something that Vince McMahon, when he sees somebody that's just chiseled out of granite almost, that he would want to push and market, but they never did. Maybe she didn't pan out. Maybe she sucked in the ring. I know she was with the Bashams for a while. You guys in the comments can fill me in on her history. I don't really remember other than the Bashams, and she was kind of doing that dominatrix type gimmick and stuff. I don't remember her doing much else, but imagine if she were to be discovered now, in the days of the PC and the Performance Center. You can take someone like Linda, put her in the ring, and train her to be amazing. But back in these days, when she should have been taken seriously as somebody that could probably battle the men if she wanted to, they had her out there parading around in lingerie as well. So she came out there wearing the black thing. She looked great. All of the judges, they keep cutting to them during each women's entrance, and Maven will drop a pen out of his mouth. Paul Heyman's got one of those little disposable cameras. If you watch this, go back and watch this. Look at the little camera that Paul Heyman has. When I've talked about all of the shows I went to throughout the years, and back then we didn't have cell phones and digital cameras and shit like that. So the only way to take pictures was to either buy your own camera or get the disposable ones. And every time I went to a show, I would stop at the 7-Eleven or something, pick up 3 of them, and just wear them the fuck out. But they took terrible pictures, and all the pictures I have from WWE events are cloudy and gross, and my fingers over the lens, and it just sucks. Paul Heyman has that exact same camera, and he's snapping the pictures of these women. He even takes a couple selfies during the event, which was really funny. Out next, we had Dawn Marie. Now, Dawn Marie was there as well for a couple of years. I loved her in ECW with Lance Storm and Just Incredible. I thought they were great. I thought she was hot as hell. She came out in kind of like a see-through kind of deal. That's where you see Paul Heyman taking the selfie. I mean, that's one of his girls, from back in ECW. So that was really funny. Tori Wilson is out 4th. And here she comes out and, of course, her stuff looks great as well. But Jerry Lawler is just letting these sexual innuendos fly here. I mean, they're coming out left and right. Everything is some sort of double entendre type of thing. He is literally unbelievable and unbearable to listen to only about 10 minutes into this thing, but he's losing his shit over Tori Wilson, and it was pretty obvious that she was going to be the front runner here anyway. I'll tell you what, a Cinderella pick in this was Nydia. She looked outstanding. This Nydia came out next, and I don't know what those things are called. They wrap around a corset or bustier or some shit like that. She had one of those on. She comes out and does her little twirl and leaves. We have Terry Reynolds coming out next. Terry Reynolds was always involved in this type of shit, and she kind of had like a polka dotted deal on. She comes, spins around, and leaves. Jackie Gaida, another tough enough girl, which was interesting to see, like Nydia and Jackie and some tough, and even Linda, some tough enough people come around and parade in front of Al Snow. He was their trainer. in a way, he's like a father figure to them. And that to me also seemed a little bit weird. Not sure if I would have put Al Snow in there as one of these judges, but Jackie as well looked amazing. And help me out, is she still with Charlie Haas? Probably not. They were together years and years and years ago. Don't know if they're still together or not, but I always liked Jackie, and I was bummed that she only lasted a little while, because much like Linda Miles, I thought she looked really good. And I thought if she trained to wrestle, she would be very good. She went through that whole Tough Enough deal. She did train and get in the ring and wrestled with Al Snow like Jackie did, or I'm sorry, like Linda Miles did. But, again, never really did much. Had some matches and shit, but, wrestling was just not the focus back then. And that's a shame, because I think Linda and Jackie could have been pretty good if they were in a system like we have today. Outlast, of course, we've got the crown jewel of the WWE's Divas division, Trish Stratus. She's out there in kind of like a one-piece black type of deal. She's got her cowboy hat and the little robe that she always wears, usually to the ring. She rips it off. As she's walking away, Jazz, who's one of the judges, she jumps out of her chair with a crutch and attacks Trish from behind. So I guess Jazz had requested, she didn't want to be involved in the competition. She requested to be a judge so she could attack Trish Stratus. And it was pretty obvious what they were doing here. You had Trish Stratus and Tori Wilson and Stacey for that matter. But I think Tori and Trish were, really the two top women in the company. And much like Cena and Rock, or Rock and Austin, or Hogan and Warrior, or Brett and Shawn, or anything like that, you sometimes you don't want one of them to lose. So they had Jazz attack Trish Stratus here, actually knocking her out of the competition. She only competed in the one event. Jazz attacked her. She was not able to return, which now meant she didn't have to lose clean, right? We do the same thing in wrestling matches now. This is the same type of shit they pull, but they're just doing it in a fashion show type of deal here. So Jazz attacks Trish, and Trish is gone. Before we get to the next competition, we cut backstage and see Jackie and Stacey talking with each other. They're both claiming that now that Trish is knocked out, that they're the favorites to win this thing. They even start pushing and shoving a little bit, and that's when Rico shows up. I forgot all about Rico. I remember recently hearing that he was not doing well. So whatever's going on with Rico these days, I hope he's okay, and I hope he's doing as well as possible. And he's kind of like the backstage coordinator for this thing, kind of like playing the role of the I don't know, the wedding planner or something like that. He's very flamboyant. He's got all this shit on. And he basically pulls them apart and tells them to stay focused. And he says that he's going to give them some pointers on how to properly work the runway, I guess. So he is flamboyant as ever. Rico was a trip. We're then back to the area, the judging area, where Coach is interviewing Edge. Edge says, "This is great." He goes, "This is great. What took WWE so long to do this?" That was pretty funny. He tells Coach that he could win a Golden Thong Award because he's got junk in the trunk. Edge, no thanks. Keep your junk in your trunk, please and thank you. Maven and Al Snow were also interviewed, and Heyman was interviewed as well. And Heyman just blasts out a couple of lines just packed full of innuendos. He says that he would love to see any woman on top, and that he would love to snatch the award and shit like that. Just So that was all out of Paul Heyman's mouth. Next, in 2002, this was all funny. In 2020, it's really hard to laugh at some of this stuff. I did laugh at some, but not all of it. My God. Jesus Christ. WWE, this, like I said, I put this on Twitter too. This whole show aged about as well as a bowl of Gorgonzola cheese left out in the sun at the beach in July in Florida for a month. I mean, it's so bad. WWE must be mortified with their behavior here. No wonder they haven't re-released this shit. You don't see it on the network or anything. I think they want to just forget they ever did this. Up next, we've got the lovely bra and panties competition. Very important. By the way, Holly is outside the world, and she's protesting this whole deal. You can always count on Molly to be the voice of reason. Molly has always been outstanding. I love her. She says WWE is exploiting these women and treating them as sex objects, and she is right. We then go backstage again to show more of Lawler's felony footage of the hidden camera that he planted in the Divas locker room. Lawler thinks he's going to see Dawn Marie because she's in there by herself first, and she's about to start taking her shit off. Well, Rico shows up, kind of stands in the way, and demands that Dawn Marie shows him what she's got underneath there, so she does, and she opens up her jacket, but he's standing in the way of the camera, so Lawler's all pissed that his crimes did not pay off there, and he wasn't able to catch a glimpse of Dawn Marie. Now the actual bra and panties competition start. Tori Wilson is out first this time. She's out there in just a perfect looking blue bra and panties, walks down there, spins around, walks away. This is kind of where they allude to her being Maven's boyfriend. Like, I forget storyline. I forget that even happened. Even in kayfabe, that seems unfair. So that was kind of funny. Nydia was out next. She was wearing pink and black. Nydia stole my heart in this thing because now I thought she, was a Cinderella pick here. Now she's out there wearing Bret Hart colors. That was cool. Nydia's another one who just didn't, hang around very long. I thought she had a good little gimmick there with Jamie Noble playing like the trailer park trash people or whatever. She was quite entertaining at times. And, they had a pretty big chunk of tough enough girls around this time, and none of them really panned out. It's kind of a bummer. Stacey Keebler is out next. Much like Tori, there's not much here you can really screw up. She could wear a potato sack and she'd look awesome. She's dressed all in pink, little pink bra and panties, and she walks out there. Lawler, oh my God, Lawler says, I want to kiss her on the lips. Okay, Lawler, I think we know which lips you're talking about there. Jesus Christ. Out next, we had Jackie in a blue bra and white panties. The judges are losing their minds here. Edge is falling out of his chair. Heyman is going nuts with the camera. That was pretty funny. Then we get Dawn Marie out. She's got like a red bra and panties on and like almost like a see-through type of robe, and she rips it off and, to unveil everything. And of course, judges and the people in the audience go nuts. Tori Reynolds is out next. She's in all white, and she brings out a chair with her, so you think she's going to do some sort of a striptease routine, but she kind of just walks out there, sits in it, shows her ass to everybody, and walks away, and that was it. Lawler and Cole are absolutely losing their minds, especially Jerry Lawler around this time, and especially after watching Terry, what she's doing with the chair and everything. And then we hear some familiar music. Turns out to be the music of the very lovely and very popular Mae Young, who comes out there wearing all black. And this was so hard to watch, but again, so fun. Like, I remember the first time, I didn't really mark out for this so much because by this point we had seen it a bunch of times. But I remember it was I think it was the Royal Rumble 2000. They did another one of those stupid fucking bikini contests or something. And Mae Young came out there and she took everything off. And I remember we watched this on pay-per-view. I ordered this on pay-per-view. And nowadays, I think if you watch it, there's like a censored strip, but there was not on my copy of it. And I don't know if she had some pasties on or what was going on there, but it looked fucking grotesque. And she was dancing out there topless. I will never forget that. She had come out and acted like a kind of like a horny drunk pervert a few times throughout the years up until this point. So this was nothing new. But of course, she's got to come out there and strut her stuff. Edge is about to barf while Mae Young is thrusting her pelvis, which was just awesome. I think even Jerry Lawler says her hose are wrinkled, but she's not wearing it. Which that actually did get a little chuckle out of me. So that was actually kind of a lighthearted moment that I didn't mind so much because Mae Young is a goddamn saint. Lawler and Cole throw it back to King TV again. So we're back to the hidden camera in the locker room. Now we've got Tori Reynolds, Linda Miles, and Nydia all standing there. And I think they're saying something like they're all going to get naked or something. And they're all complimenting each other and touching each other, and Lawler's getting more and more excited. That's when I think it's Terry who turns to the camera and says, "We got you, busted," and they bust Jerry Lawler to reveal that they knew he hid the camera in there the whole time, and they were just fucking with him. And Mae Young, who's kind of cleaning up her mess from the runway there, she jumps up to the commentary table. She gets all up on Lawler. She starts making out with him. So, they tried to do their best to make Lawler get what he deserved here because he was being such a disgusting freak. And now he has to make out with Mae Young. That was all pretty funny. After that, Mae Young gets off of him and Lawler starts just puking in his crown, like throwing up in his crown. So that actually did make me laugh a little bit. After that, we get Molly Holly show. Of course, she's been outside protesting this whole charade for a while. Now she's inside. She's on stage. She's making a huge scene. She's, insulting everybody and says this whole thing is a farce and it shouldn't be happening. She gets escorted off stage by security who just all swarm her, and she's kicking and screaming as they drag her off. And good for Molly Holly for standing up for what's right. We all knew she was an angel, and that was how she was dressed. She was out there in like an angel outfit. So, Coach tries to get her to leave, and she says, "I'm not in this competition because I don't have plastic parks," and yada, yada. And that's when security comes and just drags her away. So I like that. I like that they incorporated Molly and Jazz into this too, even though they didn't have them out there wearing bikinis and shit. The last competition is the Fantasy Free-for-All. Ooh, Fantasy Free-for-All. Now, I got to tell you, this was a monumental disappointment for me because I thought the way they were plugging it up at the beginning of the show that the women were going to come out there and do some shit. I thought Tori Wilson was going to come out there juggling swords. I thought they were going to jump through flaming hula hoops and do Cirque du Soleil shit, but they didn't do any of that stuff. It was basically just a repeat of what we already saw, and nobody did anything special. They just came out in another sexy outfit, and that was it. So we just had to sit through all of them doing this again. Nydia was out first this time. Rico was all pissed off watching the monitor because she's coming out there doing her thing. And he's like, no, you're doing it all wrong. You're doing it all wrong. If you want something done right, you're just going to have to do it yourself. Yikes. So we then get Tori Wilson out next. She's wearing kind of like a pink panties and skirt and, kind of pink or white top. And she prances around there. She's got a little lollipop in her mouth and does her whole little, I don't think it was a schoolgirl thing because Stacey would do that, but whatever that was, she does that. Linda Miles comes back out there. She's dressed just like she would be if she was coming to the ring usually with the Bashams and kind of like this dominatrix type of gear, this black leather stuff. And like I said, she looked incredible. Terry Reynolds was out next in a blue and white bra and panties. She almost looked like a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader or something like that. She fucks with the judges and does all sorts of things to them to get them all hot and bothered, and hopefully we'll wind up voting for her. Jackie Gaida is out after that in kind of like a genie or a belly dancer type of outfit. She was the only one that really appeared to do anything out of the ordinary. At least she was trying to do like some sort of a genie dance or a belly dance or something like that. She even takes that little thing. It was either on her face or her ass, I forgot what. She puts it on Edge's face and he's wearing it, the little pink see-through thing. So that looked kind of funny. But again, she was the only one that really did anything other than walk down there and walk away. Stacey Keebler was out next. She did the schoolgirl thing. She kind of looked like Britney Spears in that, oh baby video or whatever from back in the day. She was kind of wearing that deal. And last but not least, we've got the sexiest entrant into this competition, the one and the only Rico, coming out there strutting in a leopard type of outfit, basically like a full bodysuit Jimmy Snuka deal or something. And of course, he was backstage mad at all the women. He was coordinating this whole thing backstage, and he just didn't think that any of these women knew how to properly strut their stuff. He was going to show them how to do it. So he comes out there with the leopard thing, and it's this whole robe, and then he takes it off to reveal that he's wearing a bra and he's wearing a thong, and he goes through and dances just like the women would. Edge is throwing up. Paul Heyman's losing his mind. I think Maven just leaves and hasn't been seen since, and nobody wanted anything to do with this. It was god-awful. I couldn't get away from that quick enough, but you know what? At least WWE made a man do this too. I suppose it was kind of funny, and maybe in 2002 I would have thought it was hilarious. In 2020 it was dumb. After that, we've got Mae Young and Moolah drinking at the bar. They're just having a couple of drinks because why wouldn't they be? And then Jonathan Coachman closes out the show with all of the females on the stage, all the divas that participated in this. They're on the stage with him, and he's going to allow Jerry Lawler. I cannot believe these women are allowing Jerry Lawler to come within 5 feet of them, but he's on the stage with them, and he's going to announce the winner. And of course, he announces the winner to be, big surprise, Tori Wilson. Once you saw Trish get knocked out of the competition, you knew it was going to be Tori. And this was actually hilarious. This was my favorite part of the whole show. When Tori Wilson finds out she wins, she jumps up and down all excited. She still has that lollipop from her previous competition outfit, and she takes the lollipop and she just sticks it right on Dawn Marie's tit, and it stays there. And she just walks off and dances. When she comes back, all of the women are mad. Stacey gets on the mic and is pissed. She goes, "Your boyfriend is one of the judges. This is horse shit." They all start pushing and shoving. There's kind of like a brawl breaking out. Jerry Lawler is singing during this whole thing. What a mess. And I think the whole show goes off the air with the ladies pushing, shoving, and Lawler singing. It was as crazy as it sounds. And if you've never seen this, I'll put a link to the link that Barry gave me for the Daily Motion video in the description below, so you can check this out if you would like. It was absolutely ridiculous, but kind of funny at the same time. Like I said, when Barry suggested that I do this, I had completely forgotten that it happened. So being able to look back at this now, I'm like, oh yeah, because they did so many diva related things back in the day. They used to do tons of those VHS tapes and DVDs. I even have a few of them in my collection sitting around somewhere, of all the photo shoots and the model shoots that the Divas did. And there was always, specials on the USA Network and just random specials here or there showcasing the Divas and showcasing their beauty and all of that. And it was just a different time, man. And all the girls back then seemed like they had a great time. They were treated very well, paid very well, got to travel the world and got to do a lot. But man, how WWE views the female performer 18 years ago compared to today, it couldn't be any more different. You know what I mean? So it's pretty crazy to go back and look at this. So I hope you enjoyed this review. I hope I did this justice. I think the funniest part of me doing this was when I was writing my notes. I don't know the names of any of these things that women wear. So there could be a name for a specific type of bra or a specific type of panty. And I don't know. And I'm just I'm like laughing at myself when I'm making my notes. I'm like, blue panty thing is what I would put for most of the descriptions. It's just a panty thing. I don't know what the fuck it is. So that was probably the most fun here. Putting together the thumbnail and the overlay here was quite a hoot as well, trying to find the correct images and stuff. But my God, what a time. What a weird show. Things were a lot different back then, man. Boy, the crowd was hot for this too. Everybody they had packed in that bar, they seemed like they were drunk and having a great time. And it was just a wild night in Times Square that night. That's for sure. But we're coming up on the 19-year anniversary of the show. And in terms of where they were in the company at that time, you're talking about 2002. Like I said, they just made the switch from WWF to WWE 1 month prior to doing the show. So they were in a big transition period around this time. But in terms of, when you look back at some of the most famous divas and the Hall of Fame worthy divas, they were all here, man. Stacey, Tori, Trish, Dawn Marie, and Molly Holly there. You had some really good women. Terry Reynolds was around. Sable, like I said, would be back the following year. So they did have some good female talent. It was just, the divas weren't wrestlers. The divas were just pillow fighting and stuff, and so weird. Well, that's pretty much it. What'd you think, Barry? Did I even come close to doing that justice? That's one thing. If you want to donate to have these reviews done and you give me a weird show like this, I can't talk for an hour about it. There's nothing here. There's no meat on this bone, or meat on this boner might be a better choice of words. There's just not a whole lot to get into in terms of detail and substance here, because this is a very shallow, very strange type of program. And I did my best. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this review. Like I said, if you have not checked out Divas Undressed, go back and take a look. Hey, if you're a modern fan and you just started watching wrestling, 8 to 10 years ago, this is going to look pretty weird to you. So go back, take a look, and see the way things used to be. And my God, Paul Heyman and his camera. What a trip. Anyway, that's going to be it for me now, guys. Barry, I want to thank you very much again for your donation and your support. The next donation review that's coming up is going to be a live stream on my top 10 favorite tag teams of all time. I don't have a date for that yet, but it's going to be somewhere between the 25th and the 30th of this month, December. So keep a lookout for that. And I will catch you guys very soon for yet another Patreon-sponsored review. Y'all be good. Peace.